It is Canada's first, North America's newest, and the world's largest air-supported dome. Officially opened on June 19th, the stadium at BC Place has been described as the finest multi-purpose sports facility in the world. Built on 10 acres of land, BC Place Stadium is an awesome structure, and not by sheer size alone. Its design excellence and technological innovations have made it one of the world's finest. And today is an historic occasion for the Canadian Football League. The first regular season game to be played at the stadium at BC Place as the Lions entertain the Saskatchewan Roughriders. After 30 years at Empire Stadium, the BC Lions move into a home that is state-of-the-art. And while the whooping and hollering of the fans will remain the same, there'll be double the capacity, almost 60,000 seats, a controlled climate, a huge video board for messages and replays, 100 private suites, an artificial playing surface, all under an 80-ton Teflon-coated fiberglass roof that is held up by air pressure. And the total bill for Vancouver's newest landmark, on budget, at $126 million. Hi, everybody. I'm Don Whitman. Over the years, I've had the good fortune to work out of a number of stadiums, but I think this is one of the finest I have ever seen, and I think Ron Lancaster is inclined to agree.
Boy, I sure will, Don. It's just unbelievable in here. It's the first opportunity I've had to get into this place was this morning. We made a complete tour. We had a guided tour by General Manager Bobby Ackles. We've seen everything there is to see. It's a football player's dream, especially a quarterback. You have ideal conditions. You don't worry about wind, rain, and footing, and that's all you can ask. And when you look at the fans here, they're in comfort. It's just an ideal place to play ball.
Well, we look for an exciting ball game under these ideal conditions here at the stadium at BC Place. And Ron, a couple of lineup changes by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I guess the most important is the return to the lineup of Chris DeFrance.
Well, they need him back. They need to get their pass offense going. Chris DeFrance comes back onto their roster from the reserve list, and Don Swafford goes to the reserve list, which means Laurie Skolrud gets his chance to start at left tackle. And the big change for the Riders today is John Huffnagel will start at quarterback instead of Joe Adams.
Couple of changes by the BC Lions, one defensively.
Well, that's the biggest one. Kenny Hinton comes back to his right cornerback spot in place of JoJo Heath, who moves to the reserve list. Other than that, this is a big game for both clubs.
The second game of the season, the home opener for the BC Lions under the dome here at the stadium at BC Place. And we'll be back with the opening kickoff right after this. Will be kicking off to the Saskatchewan Roughriders to start this CFL encounter, the home debut of the British Columbia Lions after a season opening 17-14 loss to the Toronto Argonauts at CNE Stadium in Toronto. Inside the dome, it is 20 degrees. Outside, the temperature, a beautiful day on the West Coast, 27 degrees. Of course, no wind inside. Outside, it's from the southwest at 15. The humidity a little higher inside at 20% compared to the 12 degrees outside. Now, the BC Lions yesterday at practice were working on a short kickoff. They spent about half an hour here at the stadium working on this particular phase. Don't be surprised if they kick off short to start the game, although Dwight Edwards and Fran McDermott are deep. Lou Pasaglia will probably favor the side Herman Fernandez is on.
Well, if you're going to, that's where you go. But the Saskatchewan Roughriders want the football. There's not much coaches' decisions left. There's no wind to worry about. You just take the ball and see what happens.
Lou Pasaglia awaiting the referee's signal. There's the whistle from Ross Perrier. And this game is underway. It is a short kickoff. Fernandez is in the clear. He's got it.
Well, you don't draw them up any better, do you?
No, that wasn't a replay. You saw what we had predicted because they were working on it.
Well, you put your best pass receiver to the wide side. There's some room, and hopefully he can catch it in flight, and he does, and he gets him down to the 35-yard line. What a way to start a football game.
Well, Don Matthews told us that he was determined to go after the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and he starts with that short kickoff. 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Roy DeWalt running away from trouble. He's got that great athletic ability. I believe he stepped out about a half-yard short of the forward marker. Graduate of Texas Arlington, can run with that ball, and he has really developed in the past year as one of the top quarterbacks. And there's the rookie head coach of the BC Lions, Don Matthews. Previously, the defensive coordinator with the Edmonton Eskimos.
Blitz first play. They bring Boyd and Robinson up the middle, but DeWalt's got the great running ability. He gets outside. He's going to direct traffic. He wants Donnie Taylor to block right there. He comes back and blocks backside, so he runs out of bounds. Takes no chances. He's not getting paid to run the ball.
2nd and less than a yard. There's a penalty flag in the play, a time count violation against the Lions.
You know, a lot of times you'll have these time count violations because of the fact that they take those big linemen and they put those other jerseys on them and send them in, and it takes, you know, you only have 20 seconds, and it takes time to do that. It's going to hurt them.
The Lions had sent in their short yardage offense. And now, with the ball moved back outside the 30-yard line, it is 2nd and just over 5. The crowd in the neighborhood of 45,000 in attendance at BC Place. The stadium has a capacity of just under 60,000. Movement at the line of scrimmage. No flag. There's the throw for Fernandez. Touchdown!
They got Saskatchewan in a blitz, almost threw him offside. Got one-on-one coverage outside. DeWalt throws this off balance and throws a strike about 40 yards. Fernandez in the end zone. You'll see number 28, Andre Jones, couldn't stay with him. He's got to step on him right now. You'll see the safety, Marshall Hamilton. That's a dead spot in the zone. It's a long way to go. He didn't make it.
Well, we were talking to Mervyn Fernandez prior to the game about the end zones, which are 5 yards shorter. He said it doesn't bother me at all because I'm used to playing on a much smaller field anyway. He didn't need that extra depth in the end zone. The Lions are in front 7-0. We'll be back with their kickoff. Mervyn Fernandez is our Carling O'Keefe Sports offensive game star. He took the opening kickoff, the short kickoff, and then the scoring pass 3 plays later for the touchdown that has moved the Lions into a 7-0 lead. This time, Pasaglia goes deep. Dwight Edwards starts from the 5-yard line. Edwards runs into a traffic jam at the 24. He's brought down there by Kevin Konar. John Hufnagel, the starting quarterback. Fieger and Washington, the running backs. Among the receivers, the change we mentioned at the top of our telecast, Chris DeFrance has gone into the ball game. He is replacing Ray Algar. Edwards, Robinson, and Stu Fraser are also there, and Laurie Skolrud has moved into the left tackle spot in place of Don Swafford. So it's an all-Canadian offensive line for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Greg Fieger on the first carry. The first play from scrimmage for Saskatchewan is out to the 27, stopped there by Tyrone Cruz.
BC didn't waste any time either. They blitzed right away, brought their linebackers.
Same defensive lineup up front for the British Columbia Lions. You might see Hebler and Clausen doing some juggling, and you'll see Jackson occasionally moving into that middle linebacking position, and Ken Hinton is the new addition to the secondary. He missed the season opener. 2nd and 6. Hufnagel over the middle to Robinson, a first down at the 45-yard line. We're on the way. This game has started. We're going to see a wide open offensive display by both teams.
Well, talking to the BC coaches, they wanted to go after Saskatchewan, but they give them a cover 2, which means they're going to play man-to-man, which means the middle's going to be open if you can get in there, and Robinson gets in there, and Crawford just can't stay with them, and Nelson Martin has to make the tackle. But the middle will open up, but they don't like to let you in there, but it's hard to stop you. He got in there by himself, no problem.
It's a gain of 18 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 1st and 10. Good protection from Hufnagel. Now it breaks down, and he's caught from behind by Rick Clausen. And the two Canadian defensive ends, Clausen and Nick Hebler, do some celebrating.
The Riders secondary came right up on the line of scrimmage, and they're going to challenge those Saskatchewan receivers right now. Huffnagel got tremendous pressure and had nowhere to throw the ball. Rick Clausen beat Skullroot and got in there, or beat somebody over there.
So it's second down, 17. The ball is back between the 38 and 39-yard lines. It's not often you see John Huffnagel draw the starting assignment. He is under pressure again. Gets away, flips it out, intended for Robinson. Incomplete. There is a penalty flag. We'll wait for referee Ross Barriere to interpret for us. As Don Matthews looks on, it appears to be holding against the BC Lions.
Holding BC number 28.
The holding call against defensive back Larry Crawford. Crawford, an Iowa State graduate, led the team in interceptions for the last 2 years, playing Ron Robinson just a little too tightly on that one. Complete to Greg Fager, and it's a first down Saskatchewan as he penetrates to the 45 of BC, brought down there by Tyrone Cruz. I think we'll see the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Ron, using their backs as receivers more this afternoon.
Oh, they sure will. They just bring the back out, flood that side, and let the quarterback read the open area. This time it was Greg Fager. Huffnagel will back straight out. Now he's got that back free, and he's just looking for the open man. Fager opens up right in the middle, and Tyrone Cruz comes a long way to make the tackle.
A gain of 16, first and 10, Saskatchewan at the 45 of the Lions. Dwight Edwards on the sidelines. He's bounced out of bounds almost immediately by Ken Hinton. Stopped about a yard shy of a first down.
Well, that's twice now. On the interference call or the defensive holding call, they blitzed the inside halfback number 10, Melvin Bird, and this time they blitzed him again, but he's just not getting there quick enough.
Dwight Edwards, perhaps the fastest man in the entire Canadian Football League.
Boy, nothing hard here. With his speed, Kenny Hinton's got to give him some room. He just turns to the sideline. Huffnagel gets rid of him.
Elgar comes into the ballgame offensively for Saskatchewan. Chris DeFrance goes to the bench. On the second and yard situation, James Curry came in to fill the hole on Mike Washington. It's going to be close enough to require a measurement. Huffnagel coming into this ball game had hit on 20 of 34 pass attempts. 3 of them had gone for touchdowns. You know, you talked off the top of our telecast, Ron, about the coaches really not having much to do in the way of strategy anymore. You don't have to think, which end will we choose? What will the wind be like in the fourth quarter? You just try and get the ball to start the ball game and put points on the board.
Just keep the ball and score every chance you get it. Now, you don't worry about all that other stuff. You can concentrate on the game.
Measurement reveals a first down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders at the 35 of BC. DeFrance, and it's picked off. The receiver was overthrown, and Crawford was there to make the interception.
Well, Don, DeFrance definitely got to the inside and was wide open going down the seam, but Huffnagel just overthrew him. And when that's what happens when you overthrow, you got a defensive back there to pick it up. You watch John Huffnagel come to his left just a little bit. He's going to look left for Chris DeFrance. DeFrance is going down the left side coming in, and you'll see he is open as the ball takes off, but it's just a little bit too high and too far, and a diving interception by Crawford. He's back there, and that's his job. Play defense deep.
First and 10 from the 12. Lions on that turnover in possession. DeWalt flipping it out to Sammy Green. Green, who has speed on the sidelines, picks up a first down to the 33-yard line. A gain of 21 as Bill McBride came over to make the tackle with help from Fran McDermott.
Well, this is DeWalt's specialty. He wants to sprint, get outside, throws it to the flat man, and that puts the defensive back behind him. Sammy Green makes the catch. He gets a pretty good block. Bring him down, but he picks up good yardage. That's DeWalt's specialty, is get outside where he can see.
1st and 10. The ball at the 33. The ball goes to the sidelines to Ned Armour. Armour trying to get out of the grasp of a couple of defenders over on the far side, unsuccessful. The BC coaching staff very enthused about this young man, Ned Armour. He's a graduate of San Diego State. They claim he has blinding speed. Now you see Coach Don Matthews wearing the headset. That's the first time this season that he has worn the headphones and is in communication with the spotters upstairs. Matthews says he does a lot of blocking on those sidelines, and he's afraid he might strangle himself on occasion. A handoff to John Henry White. He breaks off tackle and is all the way to the 41. A run of 30 yards for John Henry White, and again the BC Lions are in scoring position.
That goes against their tendency. They usually sprint when they put 3 receivers to one side. This time they run a handbag draw to John Henry White. He comes back against the flow, and the offensive line really broke it open for him. He came through untouched. Great run.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 41 of Saskatchewan. DeWalt is going to run this himself. He has a pickup of 9, maybe 10 yards. He's stopped by linebacker Tom Boyd. 7:35 is the time left to play in this opening quarter. It's 7-0, the Lions in front.
4 receivers downfield, and Saskatchewan's in a zone, which means they're going to be able to handle those receivers pretty well, but that's what they can't stop. You let the quarterback out, and then he's an excellent runner as it is. Right here, he should hit the deck, but they're going to punish him if he doesn't.
Lions again send in their short yardage unit. That includes number 58, Orange Shoes, Nick Hebler. And Hebler leads the block as the Lions pick up the first down. John Henry White was able to strike into the 28-yard line.
When you're talking about tight ends and you put Hebler and Klassen and those guys in, that's some pretty big blockers.
Well, our cameraman up high is Gene Badeck, providing you with that spectacular overhead view of the artificial turf here at the stadium at BC Place. First down. DeWalt's in trouble, and he is going to go down. A loss of about 5 or 6 yards as defensive end Vince Goldsmith came crashing in on him. Well, there's our cameraman up high, Gene Badeck. I would not trade places with Gene for any amount of money. Well, maybe.
Not me. He can have it. I was looking at him. He's a long way up in the air.
And it's a lot warmer up there than it is down at field level. John Pankratz, and he is going to score.
Well, Don, the BC Lions, whenever you blitz the middle linebackers, and you'll see 37 and 52 coming, the middle is wide open. The BC Lions love to run a receiver under and then one across the field at 10 or 12, and Pankratz is wide open, and it's no contest. There's just no underneath coverage, and it's a very difficult pass to stop, and as you see the result, touchdown.
John Pankratz, the Simon Fraser grad, makes it 13-0, and now Lou Pasaglia will attempt to make it 14, and we still have 6:17 to play in this opening quarter. The convert attempt by Pasaglia is successful, and the BC Lions offense has exploded in the first 8 minutes of this football game. They lead by that 14-0 advantage. The man who scored the second touchdown, all smiles on the BC bench. John Pankratz taking the throw from Roy DeWalt. We'll be back with the BC kickoff. Steve Armitage, Ernie Afghanis, and I will be there. think you might even pop over for a couple of days, Ron Lancaster, and take a look at some of the golf, perhaps pick up a few tips, because you're going to be in Hamilton on Saturday night for the telecast of the BC Lions and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, along with John Wells and Leo Cahill. Dwight Edwards on the kickoff return. Edwards unable to get to the outside. He fights his way out to the 37-yard line, and he was stopped there by Nelson Martin. Joe Farragelli, the coach of the Lions, was telling us he really doesn't, or the Riders was telling us he really doesn't know how fast Dwight Edwards is. He said he seems to be able to adjust his speed and run only as quickly as he has to.
Well, that's been the story on him. If he needs to be fast, he's fast. Otherwise, he just cruises along and takes his time. It must be nice to be that fast. I never worried about that. Not too many people do.
First and 10, Saskatchewan. The ball is at the 37. They trailed 14-0. Incomplete. Hufnagel was under pressure on the sidelines. He was looking for Stu Fraser, but there was a mix-up in communication, obviously involving Hufnagel and Fraser as to the pattern, and Mel Bird was pressuring quarterback John Hufnagel, and that's something Coach Don Matthews said they would do. They would go after the Saskatchewan quarterback.
Well, that's 3 times in the first quarter that they've brought the inside safety, Melvin Bird. This time he got the pressure on him. There definitely was some miscommunication between the quarterback and receiver, because he threw the out and the guy went deep, so somebody didn't get the audible.
Second and 10. Hufnagel is caught and dropped for a loss by James Curry. This BC defense is as fired up as the offensive unit, although Curry is a little slow in getting to his feet. Matthews speaks enthusiastically about this rookie that he recruited this year. Previously played with Calgary and Saskatchewan very briefly.
The last time the linebackers played man-to-man, they let Ronnie Robinson get inside and they completed the pass. You see right at the top of your screen that BC defender is inside him. Now you don't get open in the middle. That's what that defense has to do. Keep him out of the middle because it's open, and that allowed that guy, James Curry, to make the sack. He was a bellhop.
Bellhop in Reno, Nevada. Decided to give football one final shot, and he has been very impressive through the preseason and the first regular season game for the Lions.
He played very, very well against the Toronto Argonauts down in Toronto in their opening game loss. But he is very impressive. He's a lot stronger now. Listening to him, he was a lot stronger.
Must have been very heavy bags he was carrying around.
Yes. Well, let's see if we can see where he gets hurt. He his right leg a little bit. Oh, guy falls on it. Klassen and the tackle fell on him.
Well, on 3rd and 17, Ken Clark is punting to Crawford and Fernandez. Ball bounces to Crawford. A penalty flag goes down. A no-yard violation against Saskatchewan will likely be coming up with 4:43 still to play in this opening quarter. And Don Matthews, BC Lions out in front, 14-0. Well, the BC Lions attempting to even their record at 1-1. The Lions, the team that many picked to finish in first place in the Western Conference this season. They had a tough season opener at CNE Stadium in Toronto, bowing to the Argonauts 17-14, but they have equaled their point production of that season opener already through 11 minutes of the first quarter here at the stadium at BC Place.
That first game in Toronto was an excellent football game. The Argonauts and the Lions put on quite a show down there. It was a defensive struggle, and Conrad Holloway was the difference in that one.
No yards call. Moves the ball to the Saskatchewan 54. Over the middle to Donnie Taylor. And Taylor is inside the 30-yard line. Brought down there by Marshall Hamilton. DeWalt felt that pressure and simply dumped it off to his back for a gain of 24.
You see the linebackers dropping out of there, which means it's a zone, so DeWalt takes his time. They bring the backs underneath. Taylor gets a good block by John Henry White, and he just does the work on his own. It's wide open down the middle. Good balance.
First and 10, the Lions at the 30 of Saskatchewan. second touchdown, makes the catch at the 26-yard line, and he immediately is caught by Tom Boyd.
Well, they send Pancratz underneath, and they try to bring the other receiver, Mervyn Fernandez, and Armour into the middle behind him, but the Riders play it the way you have to do it. Force him to throw the ball off underneath, and as a result, he only gains 3 yards.
Roughriders attempting to bounce back after that 50-19 humiliation in their home opener last week at Taylor Field. They are trailing 14-0 with 3:12 the time left in this opening quarter. Sideline pattern to Green. Green is inside the 5. Sammy Green out of Nevada, Las Vegas. He had pro tryouts with a number of teams before finding a home with the Lions.
Sammy Green's inside receiver just goes down and breaks to the sideline. He's got man coverage, and he makes a great effort trying to get to that end zone down to the 4-yard line.
It's first and goal from the 4. Again, the short yardage offense. Roy DeWolf will run this one in himself, or try to. He is stopped at the 1-yard line. Frank Robinson came across to make the tackle. It appeared for a moment as though he had room.
He looked like he did, but Frank Robinson coming from that inside linebacker position, he got a better angle, and if you force him to come back in, Robinson will be there. He's the Riders' leading tackler. Here he comes, coming right at you. He's going to be forced to turn in right here. Now number 37 arrives.
Second and goal. The ball is fumbled. The Lions recover. Touchdown, John Henry White. That's reminiscent of a bounce John Henry White had in a game at Empire Stadium a year ago, I believe, against the Calgary Stampeders.
Exactly, and when things are going right, they go right. They had a little miscommunication and a mishandoff on the toss. It hits off of the shoulder and bounces, and then it comes right back to him. Right back, one bouncing in. Takes a long time to practice that, Don. That's tough.
Well, the touchdown by John Henry White makes it a 20-0 ball game in favor of the Lions, and they have not used up much time or many plays once they've gained possession in finding that end zone. The point after by Pasaglia. 1:46 still the time remaining in this opening quarter. It's 21-0. The Lions leading Saskatchewan.
Well, there it is, Don. You get a good look at that. That's what you call the bounce that saves your day right there. That could have just as easily bounced the other way and have a white shirt pick it off and go 110 yards, but not today. Right in his hands. You know, Don Matthews was telling us before the game, he told us last week before their opener, they play an attack style of football. That's offense and defense. And today they've been going at them offensively, and their defense is blitzing almost every play. So I'll tell you what, that makes it tough on the opposition, because they've got to contend with pressure from the opening kickoff.
Louisiana Tech graduate John Henry White with the 3rd touchdown of this opening quarter for the BC Lions. A blitzkrieg we're witnessing here. The first game to ever be televised out of the stadium at BC Place. And wherever you're looking in across the country, we hope you're enjoying it, although it hasn't been too pleasant an afternoon for any Saskatchewan fans so far.
No, not right now.
Dwight Edwards, again, trying to get outside and find some room. Finally, he's brought down inside the 25 by Mike Washburn.
A great effort not to gain any yards. They had the return set up to the left again. They wanted to come this way with it, but the ball was kicked to the middle, and he didn't have a chance. But he sure took a lot of hits and made a lot of moves to not gain very many yards. Gets away from a lot of guys, but he's outnumbered there in orange jerseys.
When you get 1 white jersey and 5 orange, you're inclined to bet on the orange.
I think if you're taking the odds.
Dwight Edwards moves out to the left. Stu Fraser goes wide right. 1st and 10. Ball just inside the 25-yard line. A little counteraction with Washington, and he's across the 25 for a pickup of 1, maybe 2 yards before being stopped by Glenn Jackson.
BC will be a very difficult team to run on, because all those defensive backs and everybody are up on the line of scrimmage, and you've got to pop it quick to get through there, and that kind of play takes a little bit too long to develop.
Well, it's interesting that Don Matthews, the head coach of the Lions, was defensive coordinator with the Edmonton Eskimos for those years when the Eskimos ruled the West. And now he's more or less overseeing the entire operation as Washington breaks off tackle outside the 40-yard line. And he has let his assistant coaches handle the defensive phases.
Well, he said that's what he wanted them to do. They do their job. That play in particular by Huffnagel, the draw to Washington, an excellent call against that defense, because once you get through there, they're dropping everybody deep. He had a lot of room to pick up that first down.
14-yard gain for Mike Washington. It's 1st and 10 Saskatchewan. They are at their own 41. Has another Saskatchewan first down. He's across the 50 and is stopped by Tyrone Cruz at the 52.
Again, Greg Figures says now his man doesn't come, so he just turns upfield, finds a hole, hit him close. He makes a nice move, gets down the field, another first down. That's what you have to do. Take what they give you. Huffnagel's a little bit patient. He's got the experience to do that.
Laurie Stallroot, number 68, playing that left tackle position. Starting there in place of Don Swafford. It's 1st and 10. This should be the final play of the opening quarter. Draw play with Washington, and Washington has a gain of 8 before being stopped by linebacker Glenn Jackson. And that is the final play of the opening quarter. The Saskatchewan Roughriders in possession, but they trail 21. Hit on 4 of 6, actually 5 of 6, but that 5th went into a BC Lion defender's arms.
That's right. I think you should give the quarterback credit. It didn't hit the ground.
Well, as they change ends, the Saskatchewan Roughriders to start this second quarter are looking at 2nd and 2 from the 50 of the BC Lions. Washington trying to get that first down, and he is going to be stopped short. Right side of that BC defensive line came in to stop Mike Washington.
They stopped everything. That's just an excellent defensive play by the BC Lions. They're going to all come down to the inside and just take those inside gaps away. Here they come, all coming down inside, and by the time they arrive, the ball carrier gets there. There's too many orange shirts to block. Well, they're going to go after it.
I really don't think Joe Faragelli has much choice.
No,
trailing by 21. The ball at the 50 of the Lions. It's 3rd and a yard and a half. This time they get it with Greg Figure straight up the middle, and he fights his way to about the 47.
As you say, Coach Faragelli there on the sideline didn't really have a choice. With a 21-0 deficit looking at him, he's got to go after that first down, and this time Greg Figure goes behind Foley straight ahead and gets it.
28th year of coaching for Joe Faragelli. Former coach of the year in the Canadian Football League. 1st and 10 now for the Roughriders. They are at the 47 of the Lions. Robinson could not hang on. Those are the type of passes the receivers must hang on to.
Well, you can't criticize the quarterback. He's got Bernie Gleer one-on-one, and he beats him to the outside. Gleer's not there. The ball arrives right where it should, right in his hands, and he just drops the football.
When you were quarterbacking, what did you say to the receiver when he came back to the huddle after that play?
I looked at him funny, but I didn't say anything because many times they'd make great catches to bail you out, so it's going to happen once in a while.
2nd and 10 from the 47. Draw play. Washington picks up 1, maybe 2 yards. Rick Clausen was there for the BC Lions defensively. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders are sending in the field goal unit.
Well, he came back with that 2nd down draw that he got the first down on a while ago, but this time the BC Lions were coming with Tyrone Cruz up the middle, so there wasn't a natural hole for him to run in, and too many orange shirts.
This will be a 52-yard attempt by Dave Ridgway. He's telling me that his first experience here at the stadium at BC Place was a little unusual. He felt the goalpost looked a little narrow. concede the single point. So it's now a 21-1 ball game, and we'll be back right after this. Look out. Well, back at BC Place, the Saskatchewan Roughriders finally hitting the scoreboard, and it's a 21-1 ball game as the Lions use their message board to welcome Ron Lancaster and I to BC Place. They may have to do some work on the spelling on that scoreboard. However, it seemed to work rather effectively.
I know the Riders would have liked to get on the board with something other than a single.
As they were hoping that Ridgway could put it through. Initially, they were attempting to drive all the way in for the major score, but they were unsuccessful, of course. As that British Columbia defense came up big inside their own 50. DeWalt throwing to Don Taylor over the middle. And Taylor has another first down to the 47 of Saskatchewan.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have made a defensive change. They've taken linebacker Jerry Friesen out of the ball game. No, he's in, but they've taken, and Dave Singh now is coming in to be the 6th defensive back. But no good here because, again, Taylor comes underneath. You'll see him coming right under the screen. John Henry White downfield, and now that creates a hole for Taylor to take the ball because the linebacker has to pick up White when that leaves a big hole back there for Donnie Taylor.
Gain of 17. Looking for Sammy Green, and Frank Robinson was able to deflect it away.
A little bit lucky because Frank Robinson came up and saw that one coming and was in a better position to catch the ball than Green was.
So it's 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 48. That's the first pass that DeWalt has missed this afternoon. Ned Armour goes wide right. Fernandez comes out to the left. Green and Pancratz running from those slot back positions. DeWalt's in trouble. He is caught by Vince Goldsmith. He was looking to pitch it out just as he was stopped. But I guess when he saw Donnie Hickman standing there, he decided he better hang on to the ball.
The Riders do a great job downfield, and Vince Goldsmith chokes off the sprint. Now DeWalt just starts scrambling. DeWalt takes a great hit. Carl Morgan hits him as you're holding him up. That's the idea. Put him on the ground.
3rd and 15 as Stu Fraser and Fran McDermott drop back for Saskatchewan. Lou Pasaglia will launch this kick from his own 43. Good kick by Pasaglia. It chases Fraser back to the 2-yard line. Fraser is out to the 11. There's also a penalty flag and a fumble on the play. It appears as though the BC Lions may have recovered. Well, we'll sort it all out for you in just a moment, but first let's pause for this message.
Pasaglia aimed the ball wide side to Stu Fraser. He has nowhere to go. A lot of orange shirts. The ball comes loose down there somewhere. I don't know who came up with it, but it's all going for naught anyway.
Back at the line of scrimmage, there was a penalty flag on the play, apparently against the BC Lions.
Major foul, BC number 55. 3rd down over.
Well, James Curry was guilty of the major foul, and rather than gain possession of the football down at the 10-yard line, the Lions are backed up now to their own 42, and they are forced to kick again on 3rd down.
Major foul. It's a big one. It's kind of unusual on a punt. you're usually blocking.
Another good kick by Pasaglia. Fraser goes back to his own 10-yard line. And Fraser runs it out of bounds at the 25. Stu Fraser on that return was able to get outside of Joe Kuklo and pick up about 15 yards on the run back.
Well, this is a little better than the last one. At least he held on to the ball, and he does get outside. He doesn't have the great speed, but he does a good job, and they gain like 15 yards of field position, plus the football is the big thing. They don't want to turn it over on that 5-yard line. Good return by Fraser.
10-11 is the time left in this second quarter. 21-1. BC Lions lead the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Fraser out to the right. White Edwards goes wide left. Pass is complete to Krista France at the 32. That will be a first down. Krista France, for the past 2 years, has been a 1,000-yard receiver for the Roughriders, so you know how valuable he is to the passing offense.
Well, they've missed him. They just come with a 4-man rush. You see the linebackers sitting back in, trying to get inside. France just comes down and turns inside. Quarterback throws it at him. He comes back and catches it.
A gain of 12. Hufnagel has now hit on 5 of 8 passing attempts. The pitch goes to Washington. All sorts of pressure back there, and he is finally brought down at the 30-yard line. That will be a loss of about 7 yards. James Curry made the initial penetration. He's number 55. He looks like a good one.
He's playing extremely well. Bernie Gleer, the rover back, as he's called in the BC alignment, lined up on the outside, and on that toss, he got 5 yards into the offensive backfield, and Washington could not get around him.
Nick Hebler shaken up on the play. Hebler, of course, was a training camp holdout this year. Agreed to return to the club just before the first game. Suited up against the Toronto Argonauts. A year ago, Hebler was injured, suffering a back injury, and missed a number of games. He, yesterday at practice, had his right knee taped rather heavily as well.
John Hufnagel will put the block. But Hebler, that doesn't seem to be Hebler. It looks like Curry. He's walking off okay.
So Hebler must come out for at least one play. Brent Brissett moves in to take his spot. 2nd and 17 from the 30. Ron Robinson incomplete. And Robinson is hurt. He was sandwiched as he went up for that throw between Nelson Martin and Mel Bird.
Well, we know how tough Nelson Martin is. He's a very, very physical defensive back. And that ball's up in the air that long. He's got a shot at it. Hufnagel tries to hit him right down the seam. You'll see Nelson Martin coming left to right. The ball's a little bit overthrown. He gets hit both ways. Once in the back and once in the front. Bird hits him in the back. Martin gets him in the front. And the ball's too far. Well, he's up and moving around. He's okay.
So again, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are forced into a punting situation. 8:30 is the time left in this first half. 21-1, BC Lions lead. Fernandez takes it at the 40. He gets out to the 45 and then is driven back. The initial player to make contact was Vic Stevenson. That was a kick of 41 yards by Ken Clark. Number 54, Vic Stevenson, a rookie with the Riders this year out of the University of Calgary.
Laurie Skullroot and Tyrone Cruz not exactly enjoying each other's company, I don't think.
Skullroot had hold of the face mask there of Tyrone Cruz that, fortunately for him, went undetected by the officials. DeWalt managed to get the pass away, but he was in the grasp of J.C. Pelusi at the time, and they had whistled it down back at the 34-yard line.
Well, the rules are they're going to protect that quarterback, and as soon as he's in a defender's grasp, you'll see Pelusi gets a good hold on him, but he does manage to throw it out to Donnie Taylor, but I would say for protection-wise, it was a good call. Cost him about 11 yards.
Ball moves back to the 34-yard line. Pelusi, the rookie out of the University of Pittsburgh, 6'1", 250 pounds. Loss of 11, 2nd and 21. Again, pressure on Roy. The Wall is being chased by Morgan. Throws down the sidelines, incomplete, looking for Ned Armour.
2nd and 21 like that. They came with the blitz again. Frank Robinson up the middle. They had him trapped to the side he wanted to go. He reversed his field and managed to get rid of it to save another loss.
Well, the Rough Rider defensive unit comes up with a couple of big plays. Now it's up to the offense to get on track. 21-1 is the score, 7:27 the time remaining in the half.
Huffnagel's taking his time offensively. He's still staying with a game plan, which he needs to do, but they've got to get something, a sustained march now, and get some points on the board. That will allow him to stay with that game plan.
Excellent kick by Pasaglia. McDermott goes all the way back to the 8-yard line. And he is brought down at the 18 by Ray Waddy. A 68-yard punt by Lou Pasaglia. He'll return to the stadium at BC Place right after this. Yes, Lou Pasaglia and the Lions will be at Ivor Wynne Stadium next Saturday night. That will be the 3rd of the year for the Lions. Pasaglia with that 68-yard kick. He has punted twice in this ball game, a 63-yard average. I think he's fully recovered from the groin injury that plagued him throughout most of last season.
You know, over the years, a lot of people felt he was the best overall kicker in the league. And after last year's problem with that groin injury that, you know, it hung in there the entire season, it's really nice to see him back kicking the ball the way everybody knows he can. And, you know, when you're averaging 63 yards, it's hard to improve on it.
Well, his average will improve, too, playing here under the dome. 1st and 10 from the 19. France has a first down at the 30. Stopped by Nelson Martin.
Riders did a good job picking up the blitz that time. They brought Melvin Bird and Bernie Gleer, one inside, one outside. They picked it up very well.
And I think Melvin Bird was injured on the play. Melvin Bird, number 10. Now getting into a sitting position. You see him coming on quarterback John Huffnagel with Curry coming from the backside, and that hurts.
Curry hit Huffnagel, but he also got Bird. It looks like Curry's the one that got both of them. He'll be back though.
So Joe Kuplo will take Bird's spot in the secondary of the BC Lions with now 6:31 left to play in this first half. 21-1 the Lions lead. Again, from our camera, just under the Teflon roof, Gene Badeck manning that camera and providing a rather spectacular view from high above. We understand the temperature up there is 38 degrees, just under the roof. Down at field level, it's 20 degrees, but it's very humid. France again unable to hang on the far side of the field. There's also a penalty flag back at the 32-yard line.
Huffnagel got some pressure that time from Klassen and Hebler coming from the outsides, and I think that's the reason that ball was wobbling going up there. He took a pretty good hit. He's looking back for DeFrance. See him show up. Bernie Gleer gets there. The ball's a little wobbling. DeFrance. Nelson Martin makes a pretty good hit on him, and it looks like the ball was deflected away.
Saskatchewan, number 68, declined. Second down.
The holding call against Laurie Skallrud declined, and Joe Adams is up and getting loose at that Saskatchewan bench. Adams started last week against the Hamilton Tiger Cats and then was relieved by Huffnagel. They just reversed the procedure this afternoon here at BC Place. The blitz again, throwing deep for to France, knocked away by Kuklo. And there's also a penalty flag in the play.
If Huffnagel would have had the chance, he had the France open, but they put a safety blitz on Huffnagel, and just as he let it go, he took a great hit. That's the reason that ball was short. He couldn't step through to throw it. Watch 37, Glenn Jackson coming free, and number 4, Nelson Martin. And they put a pretty good hit on him, and the ball comes up short.
A holding call again against Laurie Skalrud, and it is declined. So Ken Clark enters the ball game for a 3rd down Saskatchewan kick. The ball is at the 31. Victory, of course, this afternoon for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Move them into a first-place tie in the West with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Bombers victors on Friday night over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They have a 2-1 record. Ball is taken by Crawford. Crawford finds some room up the middle and then is hit at the 50-yard line. Contact made by Andre Jones.
Ball's kicked on a line drive. Ken Clark's not getting them up as high as Bisaglia does, and that's allowing Crawford to get straight up the field. It's a good hit right on him. That'll bring you to a halt in a hurry. Mike Emery was the first man to hit him and hold him up.
1st and 10 for the Lions. They are at the 51. Over the middle for Sammy Green. He has speed. Exciting new receiver. Introduced to British Columbia Lion fans this year, and they like the work of Sammy Green so far in this ball game.
You watch those linebackers run out of there deep. Sammy Green just releases underneath, and you'll see a pretty good block right there, and that really springs them loose. John Henry White again downfield blocking.
Gain of 18. It's 1st and 10 for the Lions. They are at the 41 of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Incomplete, intended for John Pancratz at the 30.
That's the pass they scored on a while ago. Sammy Green underneath, John Pancratz down the field about 12, cut across the middle, and DeWalt stuck it in there pretty good. He just dropped it. Dave Singh goes in, and Jerry Friesen comes out. The Rider will go to that 6 defensive back alignment. Last time it was very successful for them. They did a great job downfield covering.
2nd and 10 now from the 41. With 4:16 left in this first half. Lions in front of Saskatchewan, 21-1. Hernandez goes wide to the right. Harmon to the left. Wall under pressure, gets the pass away. Green was hit immediately. Fran McDermott came up to make contact. At about the same instant the ball arrived, Green was able to hang on, but he is hurt.
Well, again, the Rider defensive secondary did a good job. You see, they just picked everybody up coming down there. DeWalt's forced to scramble. He gets out to his right. Sammy Green's coming across. He's got to get rid of it because Robinson's going to get him. But watch the hit by Fran McDermott just as the ball arrives. That slows you down. Makes it difficult to catch.
St. Mary's grad, Fran McDermott, flying quite a hit on Sammy Green. Green apparently is all right as he is up on his feet and heading back to the bench. Field goal attempt upcoming by Lou Pasaglia. It will originate at the 45-yard line. Dwight Edwards is the only man back. It's good. A 45-yard field goal by Lou Pasaglia. And he has 6 points now for this afternoon's work. 3 converts and the field goal. And it's now 24-1. 3:44 is the time left in the half.
I know Coach Farragelli would rather start Joe Adams than have Huffnagel coming off the bench. But in their first 2 games, Adams has been unable to get anything going the first half, so he reversed it today, and they're still having the same problems. They just can't get that offense moving in the first half of play.
Well, Huffnagel will try again from the 35 after that successful field goal by Bisaglia. On the sidelines, he's got Stu Fraser. But he was out of bounds over on the far side of the field. It will be 2nd and 10. The Lions putting a lot of pressure this afternoon on Huffnagel. He is under attack almost every time he goes back to throw.
And they're getting it, whether they're blitzing or just coming with 4, they're still getting good pressure on the quarterback. See what they do this time. They have Watson for a ball game.
Intended for Greg Figger, he was unable to hang on.
That time, Don, only a 4-man rush to 4 defensive linemen, and they checked Figger down the field. The ball got tipped at the line of scrimmage, which means they are getting good penetration.
Well, we have a timeout with 2:59 remaining in the half.
In our neighborhood, picnics mean good friends, fun.
This fantastic facility, the stadium at BC Place, will have CompuStats and the highlights of the first half. The BC Lions and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So far, it's been pretty much the Lions all the way. They lead 24-1. Ken Clark's 3rd down kick is taken by Crawford at the 25. Crawford finds a hole, and only Ken Clark can stop him. And Clark makes the tackle down at the 35-yard line. A punt of 51 yards by Clark and a run back of 50 by Larry Crawford. And it was Ken Clark who prevented Crawford from going all the way.
Well, we said Ken Clark had been kicking him low. This is by far the best kick. He got it way up in the air, but he finds a gap straight ahead, and when he got through there clean, it was a race. Ken Clark wins it. I thought for a minute he was going to give him this move and then bounce outside and outrun him, but Ken Clark stayed with him and just gets that jersey and hangs on.
The ball is at the 36. It's 1st and 10 for the Lions as we return to the live action. The handoff to John Henry White following the blocking of Johnny Hickman, and he has a gain of about 9. 2:21 remaining in this half, and the Lions are threatening to add to an already impressive offensive performance. They lead 24-1. John Henry White has carried 4 times this afternoon for 45 yards, a pickup there of 9.5. 2nd and short. DeWalt keeps. He has the 1st down inside the 25-yard line.
Take no chances there. He had a little problem down in Toronto when he thought it was a 2nd down and it was 3rd. This time it was 2nd. He said, I'll get the 1st down. This time we won't worry about it. Just straight ahead behind Al Wilson. Get that big offensive line off of there, and you just get behind the shoulder pads and get right with them, and they'll get you the necessary yardage. 1 step and then hit the deck.
1st and 10 from the 25. Armour is wide to the left. Pass complete on the far side to Pancratz, and he has another 1st down at the 10-yard line. A gain of 15 for John Pancratz. He has already scored a touchdown this afternoon.
Fernandez goes deep. Pancratz breaks to the sidelines. He beats Andre Jones. He cuts back inside. Marshall Hamilton has to come over to make the tackle, or he's going to go to the end zone.
1st and goal now from the 10-yard line. Into the end zone for Green. Touchdown!
That's a big, big touchdown, Don. Late in the half like that, Don, with less than a minute and a half left in the half. Sammy Green just goes down, runs to the wide side of the field, and DeWalt throws him a strike. He gets in behind Fran McDermott and in front of Steve Dennis. It looks like there's just nobody around him. The only guy in the picture. See DeWalt let it go. Nice throw. Throws it right at you. Sammy Green shows up. You see Fran McDermott chasing him, and he's looking at Dennis. Somebody made a mistake in the coverage.
Point after by Pasaglia. And it's now a 31-1 ball game with 1:18 remaining in this first half. Well, the Saskatchewan Roughiders have to be more than a little concerned with their defense, yielding 50 points last week to the Hamilton Tiger Cats and 31 already in this first half to the BC Lions.
Very, very difficult to overcome a 29-point lead and things like that, 30 points, whatever you want to say. But I know this. I was thinking, just before they scored that, the Lions came out after the first quarter, got a big lead. In the second quarter, things started to settle down. You wonder how much that short kick at the start of the football game unnerved them, because they took it and marched down the field and had everything their way for the first 15 minutes. They're down 30 points right now. It'd be great if they could come back, make it interesting.
Edwards trying to find some room, and he is stopped at the 26-yard line.
Well, with 1:14, you still have time to get some points on the board, and the Riders desperately need a field goal, a touchdown, something, to get them going a little bit and come back to that third quarter.
They need something before they go to the dressing room at the half. They look like a football team right now that is really down.
It's pretty hard to be up. When you're down 31-1, it's a depressing situation. And you're just hoping that maybe something can happen right now to give you a little bit of life looking into the second half.
Pass is complete to Robinson. He is stopped at the 26-yard line. They rule that he did get up to the 27 before being driven back by Nelson Martin.
Nelson Martin made contact with him, and then he got some help from Parker, and it looked like he was just trying to steal the football. Huffnagel throws it to Robinson. He'll make the catch. First guy there is number 4. He'll make the contact, and then he tries to steal the ball. Only a 2-yard gain. 2nd and 8.
Nelson Martin out of Seneca and Simon Fraser. Limiting the gain to 2 yards. Juan Robinson. Robinson on the sidelines. Tracked down by Nelson Martin, and depending on where they place the ball, it should be a first down Saskatchewan. It is.
That's the best time Huffnagel's had to throw the football. The offensive line took him on. They held him on the line of scrimmage and allowed him to look around, and finally Robinson broke free.
Saskatchewan with 29 seconds remaining in the half. Huffnagel gets away from Nick Hepler, and he has another first down as he fights his way to the 51. Stopped there by Nelson Martin.
A lot of people wonder why with 30 seconds left in the half, the quarterback's running instead of throwing. He didn't have a choice. They had both receivers covered down here, and Hepler chasing you. It's survival right now. Huffnagel's got good speed for a quarterback. The defensive backs are back. He makes a good move and does pick up the first down. I thought he'd just kind of slide in there.
Roughriders in that hurry-up offense, trying to get into scoring range. Great catch by Chris LaFrance.
Well, that's LaFrance's specialty. He loves to go down the seam like that and have Huffnagel throw it, and he'll catch the ball in some very weird positions, and this time he just lays out and makes a great catch.
So the Saskatchewan Roughriders have called a timeout, and they'll have a first down at the 33 of the Lions with 13 seconds remaining in this first half.
Well, you see, just lays out, dives out, makes the catch, hits the ground, then he wants to get up and go, but you'll see number 10, Bird, come across and just push him down to keep him there. Farragelli and Huffnagel talking with 13 seconds. They want to get 2 plays, and the second one, they want it in the end zone.
Well, you get a pretty good view there of this fine facility. BC Place Stadium with a crowd of about 45,000 in attendance. It's somewhat ironic, I suppose, that over the past 3 days, The weather here on the West Coast has been absolutely ideal, Ron. 27 degrees outside today, brilliant sunshine. It's been that way. However, people who live on the West Coast and those who have visited here can also tell you you can get 3 days of solid rain.
It is beautiful, but it's nice in here.
Intended for Edwards, incomplete. 9 seconds still remain. Mac Moore was going after quarterback John Hufnagel and leveled him just as he threw.
Stepped and threw all the way back to the wide side of the field to Edwards and took a pretty good hit. Still have 9 seconds left.
Incomplete, intended for Ron Robinson. Nelson Martin made a fine defensive play. Nelson Martin has played a rather prominent role in that BC defensive unit over the last half dozen plays.
Good defensive play by two people. Mac Moore again put the pressure on Hufnagel, but the ball was there and Martin just reached out and knocked it away.
Well, Dave Ridgway now enters the ball game, and on what should be the final play of this first half, he'll attempt to put the Saskatchewan Roughriders a little closer at any rate with a field goal from 41 yards away. Fraser holds. The kick is good. So Dave Ridgway hits on a 41-yard field goal. However, the Roughriders have their work cut out for them in the second half. They trail 31-4. Stay tuned for a fifth earlier. And he returns that 52-yard kickoff by David Ridgway, 30 yards. And the BC Lions start this second half with pretty good field position.
I was watching BC's alignment on the kickoff. They were taking no chances of Saskatchewan coming back with a short kickoff to start the second half. They had those men up on the wide side, both sides covered, forced them deep. He still made a good return.
Yes, you don't want to be burned by something you did earlier in the ball game. Have the tables reversed. Joe Paupow now in at quarterback. First pass, a strike to John Pancratz, a first down at the 51 of Saskatchewan.
Well, Dave Singh's in the ball game to start the second half of the football game. So it looks like the Riders are going to sit with their 6 defensive backs, but they clear Fernandez out and break John Pancratz to the sideline. And once again, he's got 3 steps on Andre Jones, and Dave Singh comes over to knock him out of bounds.
That's a gain of 16 for John Pancratz. He scored the second touchdown of the ball game. You see the seasonal records for Joe Paupow. His first pass in this ball game is a successful one, as he gives to John Henry White for a pickup of about 1 yard. Stopped there by Frank Robinson. This is a situation I think most coaches would like to be in, where they can go with one quarterback in the first half, come back with the other quarterback in the second, give them both equal playing time, and have them benefit from the experience. Statistically, the Lions with a big edge, as DeWalt only missed 3 pass attempts during the first 30 minutes. Paupow is 2 for 2 as he hits Sammy Green for a first down at the 38-yard line.
Well, they've been breaking the inside receiver down and toward the sidelines and working on Andre Jones. This time they go down, he fakes outside and comes back and runs a hook, and Paupow's right on target. Nobody there. He makes the catch. First down, move the sticks again. I was a little surprised to see this change. I was kind of expecting DeWalt, but they're going to need both up before the year's over. You know that.
First down, Paupow's pass. He tried to dump it off to John Henry White, knocked down right at the line of scrimmage. Mike Samples managed to get a hand up and deflect it away. Samples, number 66. Once played with BC, then with Hamilton, before being acquired by the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
He tries to clear it out and then let Donnie Taylor and John Henry White cruise out underneath it, but Mike Samples bats it down. They took out Dave Singh and quit freezing it. I wouldn't be afraid to see a blitz coming right here. Let's see what they're going to do.
Second and 10. Ball is at the 38. Pancratz again, caught by Fran McDermott at the 19-yard line.
middle is wide open, and John Pankratz had 4 or 5 steps on Fran McDermott coming across the middle. You'll see the 2 linebackers, 37 and 52, coming up the middle now. John Pankratz has got a lot of room. Give him time to throw the football. He's got 4 steps on him, moves the sticks down to the 20-yard line.
Pankratz has now hauled in 5 passes for 86 yards and 1 touchdown. Pankratz again. That's his 6th catch of the day. Tom Boyd came over to make the tackle, limiting the gain to about 5 yards.
Pankratz is the 3rd receiver on that pattern. He has 2 receivers on this side he looks for. Both were covered, so he gets the slow man coming across the field. He just comes across underneath, and he's a safety valve. And that's a good play. Quarterback doesn't force the ball, takes what they give him, keeps the drive alive. Run
with the speed of Fernandez, Ned Armour, and Sammy Green. BC Lions have a very talented core of receivers.
Well, they sure do. They're excellent receivers, and the man that's not on the roster now, Tim Kirsten, San Jose State, is also an excellent receiver. So they've got 5 that I know can fly.
John Henry White was the ball carrier. He was brought down by Tom Boyd. And this prompts Don Matthews on 3rd and 5 to send in the field goal unit. Lou Bisaglia will attempt to make it a 34-4 ball game. It's good. A 22-yard field goal by Lou Bisaglia, and with 11:04 remaining in this 3rd quarter, Lions lead 34-4. We'll be back in a moment. 50-yard line. A gain of 15, stopped by Tyrone Cruz.
He threw an excellent pass. He got it in there in a hurry. He threaded it in there and hit him right in the stomach. He didn't have any choice but catch it.
I think Adams would probably be the first to admit he had a horrendous ball game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats last Saturday. Trying to redeem himself, and he's off to a good start, hitting Dwight Edwards for a gain of about 8.
I remember last week against Hamilton, Leo Cahill was with us in Saskatchewan. He made a comment about Joe Adams not having the fluid motion last week against Hamilton. Looked like he was uptight. He's thrown 2 passes so far, and he looks much more fluid and relaxed. He took that ball that time and just let it sail, and Edwards made the catch, step out of bounds.
So it's 2nd and 2. Hand off to Washington. He sidesteps his way through a couple of holes and has a 1st down. Inside the 40-yard line, stopped there by Ken Hinton.
Mike Washington, the ball carrier.
Just a handback draw to Washington. They're pulling the big tackle. Brian Illibert makes the block that springs him into the secondary. Joe Adams not wasting any time getting him in and out of the huddle. Last play, Dwight Edwards didn't even get back to the huddle, so you know it wasn't a pass.
Throwing deep for Dwight Edwards. Incomplete. He was being covered by Terry Parker.
Well, they put the blitz on him, and you see Glenn Jackson having a discussion with Adams. He had a hold of Adams' jersey, and Adams wanted to let go, and he's trying to smack his arm off of him. And Glenn Jackson's just telling him, you know, you really shouldn't do that. I was just doing my job.
Glenn Jackson, one of the veterans of the BC Lions, graduate of Simon Fraser, 1976 territorial protection. Simon Fraser has produced a number of outstanding grads who are now playing professionally in the Canadian Football League. 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 39. Incomplete. Crawford coming over Ron Robinson to knock it away. Robinson protesting that there should have been an interference call.
Robinson had slipped on that play and was going down, and the ball was coming. Crawford just went after the football. We'll get a good look at it. You'll see Robinson is starting down, and Crawford comes right over the top, hits the ball, knocks it down. You teach those defensive backs, the ball belongs to anybody that can get it. Play that football.
Crawford's had a good ball game so far today. He has to be a candidate for one of our Carling O'Keefe offensive or defensive game star awards. I say both offensive and defensive because he has had a couple of good kick returns. The field goal attempt, it is good. Dave Ridgway puts it through from 46 yards out. And it's now 34-7. The BC Lions leading the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Let's pause for this message. 101. The capacity of the stadium is just under 60,000. Foul throwing deep for Armour, and it's intercepted, picked off by Billy McBride. Vince Goldsmith was pressuring quarterback Joe Paopao and may have got a hand on his sweater just as he released that football.
I think he did, and I think that what happened, they caught the Saskatchewan Roughriders in a zone defense. Therefore, Billy McBride's going to be back there deep. You know, they worked on Billy pretty good last week, and he's played a pretty good football game today, and he was in the right spot at the right time for that interception.
Billy McBride was the target of considerable verbal abuse last week in Regina in that 50-19 loss to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. However, it's pretty tough to cover man-on-man against the likes of a Keith Baker. Good throw for Chris DeFrance for a first down at the 54.
Boy, Joe Adams drilled that football. He really let it go. He rolls to his left. He drops, and now he sprints out. It's like called a dash or whatever you want to call it. Most teams call it a dash. Watch him drill it. He throws it about 25 yards, and DeFrance makes the catch.
There's not much doubt that Joe Adams is putting a lot more on those passes than he did last week. He completes it to Robinson. This will be a gain of about 8. Kerry Parker was there to make the tackle. He's humming that ball today.
Yeah, he's throwing the ball the way he knows how to throw it. He's more relaxed today. He's had the chance to sit back and study the defense. The BC Lions gave him a little bit different look that time. They blitzed Nelson Martin, the safety man, right up the middle. But in return, they didn't get to him, and that's one-on-one coverage. He beat it. He's throwing the ball very well.
2nd and 2. The ball is at the 48. 7:34 is the time left in this third quarter. Lions in front, 34-7. Fake pitch, and now Adams is going to try to run for the first down. He'll be very close. It almost seemed wrong as though there was a mix-up in the backfield. There's also a flag on the play.
Yeah, you see Greg Figger and Mike Washington talking down there. That was a run all the way. No receivers went downfield at all. And they got a BC Lion got injured down there, and there's a flag also.
Crawford appears to be the injured ball player. Lion trainer has to come all the way from the other side of the field. Ivan Gutfried, the Saskatchewan trainer, was
major foul,
looking after the injured player.
Roughness, 28 BC. First down.
Crawford was guilty of the unnecessary roughness violation on the sideline, and he is the injured ball player.
That was a toss, and there was no one to toss it to. Now he just starts to run, and he starts to go out of bounds, which is a good move, and Crawford takes a hit at him. He lands on that 1st and 10 marker down there pretty good.
Penalty flag. Adams throwing for Robinson, incomplete, knocked away by Kuklo, who has replaced Crawford defensively. But back at the line of scrimmage, there is a penalty marker. Referee Ross Perrier explaining things to Glenn Jackson. A legal substitution appears to be the call. Larry Crawford, who's played quite a ball game for the Lions, heading to the bench. Well, it was more than a legal substitution.
BC number 11. First down.
The illegal substitution carries down to the 22-yard line, 1st and 10. Adams gets away from Nick Hepler, still on his feet. Chris DeFrance, touchdown! Some good maneuvering by Joe Adams to get away from 3 BC tacklers and then hit Chris DeFrance at the 2.
That was a great individual effort. He wanted to throw the ball to his left, and there's no one open. And now he's going to get pressure. You'll see him coming, and now he just starts scrambling. He makes 1 or 2, 3 good moves, and DeFrance is running across the field with his hands up, and he throws a perfect pass just out of the reach of the defensive back for the touchdown.
Well, Chris DeFrance missed last week's game, but performance this afternoon, just how valuable he is to that passing attack of the Roughriders. Point after by Ridgway, and it's now 34-14 as the Saskatchewan Roughriders are trying to fight back here in this second half. Quite a large contingent of Saskatchewan fans here at BC Place Stadium this afternoon. They have to be delighted with this throw.
Oh, they sure do. Those green and white fans are here. Great throw. DeFrance found the hole, made the catch.
Well, a large number of Saskatchewan fans accompany the Roughriders on every game, and we'll be back with the Saskatchewan Hens making their home debut before a crowd of 41,000, leading 34-14. They have Green, Armour, and Bird back for this kickoff. Green will start from his own 5-yard line. Green gets away from a couple of tackles. Now he finds that seam, maintains his balance, and he gets up to the 43-yard line. Sammy Green ran about 70 yards to pick up 36 on that return.
I don't think he knew where he was going, but he was all over the field. He's pinned in the sidelines. He's already run 20 yards. Now he gives it all back, trying to get free outside. He gets turned in, and he loses his balance. I think he's just as happy to hit the ground after that. He ran a long way, as you said, Don.
36-yard run back for Sammy Green. He's got a BC touchdown this afternoon. Pow at quarterback finds John Bancroft. Stopped just short of the first down by Andre Jones.
Clear the wide receivers down and give that receiver room to work. They seem to have been like to go to that out pattern on Andre Jones on the right side of the field. If Pancratz catches it, he's 2 yards short, but they'll bring out all the animals. There they come. The big guys come in for short yardage. That may be the biggest line in captivity now.
There's a lot of size on that offensive line. With Hebler and Clausen coming in, they're both 245.
Hebler's the wingback.
2nd and 2. He leads the blocking, and John Henry White finds a hole.
Well, when Hebler blocks down, he wipes out the line, and Donnie Taylor does a good job on Billy McBride, and John Henry White's got a lot of room to run. Take a look at it. Watch Hebler come down, block it. Now the block outside. Hebler's downfield now. He's fighting with Andre Jones, who finally has to come and make the tackle.
A gain of 17 for John Henry White. He has run for 63 yards so far today. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 43. Pass complete to Ned Armour. Driven back by several Rider defenders led by Tom Boyd. It will be 2nd and 3. Well, again, they're going to send in that short yardage offense. Worked so well last time.
And they enjoy that. You know, they enjoy coming in and pushing other people around because it's usually them getting pushed around up there. And I'll tell you what, when you get Hebler and Clausen on the same side, they are big.
Well, apparently Larry Crawford banged his head making that tackle on the far side earlier. Here's John Henry White again, same play as last time, and it's another 1st down for the Lions.
Well, they're pulling Glenn Leonard around there too, and he's coming through that hole, and he's an awful big man. They may go into that formation and stay there before long.
John Henry White now has 71 yards. For a league that was supposed to depend almost entirely on the pass this year, there have been quite a number of 100-yard rushing games.
Skip Walker's had 3.
Pass complete to Sammy Green. A saving tackle by Andre Jones, or he may have gone all the way.
The Riders put on the safety blitz. They just dump it over the middle to Sammy Green, and they get the shoelace and get that toe and pull him down, or he was gone. He had all kind of room. You see Goldsmith, Robinson, that means the linebackers are cleared out. A great tackle by Andre Jones. Saves the touchdown.
Well, the horses come in again. I wonder if they'll pitch it to John Henry White and let him follow Nick Hebner one more time.
The Riders took out Marshall Hamilton. They figured if they're going to put in big guys, we're putting in another lineman.
Going cross field, nobody there. Not a receiver within 20 yards of the area in which Joe Pow threw the ball. And Dennis is protesting to the official that it was simply thrown away by Joe Pow, but there was no penalty flag.
You think he threw it away?
With the pressure that was being applied, I kind of think he may have just flipped it out there into open territory.
He sure did. He's scrambling around. Whatever he wanted over there did not develop. Nobody was out. He just throws that thing as far away as he can throw it.
There wasn't even a green shirt close to it. Well, Bisaglia will try another field goal. This one from 27 yards out. This time it's wide. Dwight Edwards gets it out of the end zone. Now if he can outrun Mac Moore. Oh, Moore was just able to get a hand on Dwight Edwards, or he had the sidelines to himself.
That's one of those plays where you wonder when you catch it that deep, you don't give him the single point. And as he starts out, it looks like he was going to be tackled on the 3 or 4, and you're thinking, why did you give him the point? And all of a sudden, he breaks it open, and he almost goes the distance, got great field position, and didn't lose anything. That was a big point, 34-14. They're still alive. A quick touchdown, and anything can happen.
Well, that was a run back of 36 yards for Dwight Edwards. Riders tried to get Troy Cicchetti into the ball game, but they had already broken the huddle. Over the middle, intended for Washington, incomplete.
That's what BC's been doing today, Don. Let those receivers clear it out and then slip them back in there. This time, they clear out the zone. Adams looks around. Now he knows Mike Washington's right up the middle. He just drops the ball.
2nd and 10. The ball is at the 27. 2:44 is the time left in this third quarter. 34-14. BC Lions lead. Chris DeFrance was unable to hang on as Mel Bird may have knocked it out of his hands in making the tackle.
He sure did, because he had the football there. Mel Bird made a good defensive play. They blitzed again. Joe Kukla coming from his safety position in place of Crawford. He came right up and got free, but Adams made the throw and it had the chance. I don't think he would have had the first down. It was a little bit short, but a good defensive play. Got that, stripped that football.
Well, Bird is going to replace Larry Crawford on the punt return unit along with Mervyn Fernandez. We've been informed that Crawford has a suspected concussion, so he will not be playing this afternoon. Bird is back at the 28. Whoa! What a hit he ran into. One of the BC players forced Boyd right into Bird on that punt return.
Boy, Al Johnson,
pardon me, not Boyd.
He's got to be wondering where he is. He gets shoved into this guy. He doesn't really want to hit him this way. You'll see he gets pushed, but boy, what a collision. I think Al Johnson's a little, he's wondering what day it is right now.
Well, Ray Waddy hit Al Johns, and he went flying into Mel Bird. And Al Johns is hurt. The big fella is groggy as he heads off to the sidelines. We talked earlier about Larry Crawford, number 28.
Put Al Johns and Crawford together, see if they say anything intelligent. Oh, Johns is all right. He's a big, tough kid.
Might take him a while to figure out where they are.
Maybe they're together somewhere.
First and 10. The ball is at the 32. Fernandez, he did a juggling act, but managed to carry it to the midfield stride.
Well, a lot of time to throw the football. You give any quarterback expect that much time. He will find the receiver, and Fernandez just goes down, turns to the inside, makes the catch after he juggled it. Here we'll see him. He's looking around. He's got all day to throw. Fernandez goes around, comes right around into the open area, juggles it. Big first down.
A gain of 21. First and 10. The ball is at the 54 with 1:16 left in this third quarter. Roy DeWalt started the ball game. Joe Paopao now working for the Lions. A strike to John Pancratz for another first down.
Paopao drops back a little bit more than DeWalt does, and he likes to go right back in that pocket and throw the football.
Well, John Pancratz has now caught 8 passes for 111 yards. He's had quite a day. First and 10. The ball is at the 44. To Sammy Green. And he is going to be stopped at the 39-yard line. A gain of 5. It was almost a pick play, wasn't it, Coach?
No, double out. Both receivers go down and run to the outside. You just take your pick. On a pick, you usually have one coming in and one going out. When they both break out, it's not a pick.
We're into the final seconds of quarter number 3. 34-14. Lions in front, threatening to add to their total. Mervin Fernandez with a first down out of bounds at the 29-yard line. And that is the end of the third quarter. The BC Lions leading by a score of 34-14 over the Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan fans in attendance here for this first game in BC Place Stadium. But for much of the afternoon, they really haven't had much to cheer about. On the other hand, the BC Lions got off to that great start. 21 points before the Saskatchewan Roughriders got on the board in the first quarter.
That's been the story of the football game. About the first 8 minutes of the ball game, the short kickoff and touchdown. Next series, the touchdown. They have never recovered. Second quarter looked like Saskatchewan was going to come back, and late in the quarter, BC scored their only touchdown of the second quarter. And Saskatchewan, they just got a long way to come back. They need to score quickly. They got to get the ball scored quickly.
Well, Don Matthews started with Roy DeWalt at quarterback. In the second half, he switched to Joe Paopao. The Saskatchewan Roughriders also made a quarterbacking change, starting with John Hufnagel, coming on with Joe Adams in the second half. And right now, Joe Paopao is directing the attack at the 29-yard line, first and 10 for the BC Lions. Fernandez goes wide to the left. Ed Armour comes out to the right. Over the middle to Don Taylor. And Taylor will be very close to another first down at the 19. He's stopped there by Tom Boyd.
All they're doing is clearing areas out. And as soon as those two backs, Donnie Taylor and them Reed, the linebackers dropping, they're coming right out, and there's safety valves, and then they block for one another. John Henry White tries to block on Thomas Boyd, but it's a big gain for Taylor. They're going to, if those two linebackers, Robinson and Boyd, come in, they'll pick them up.
Down for the BC Lions. Ball at the 19. Play just underway in the fourth quarter. 34-14 is the score. Lions in front of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Pancratz is forced out of bounds at the 3. And Joe Paopao indicates to the bench it will be first and goal from the 3. And again, that short yardage unit comes in. A big day for John Pancratz.
Watch Donnie Taylor. You can't see him, but the last time he came out for a pass, this time he stayed in and blocked. He picks up the linebacker that nullifies the blitz, and then Pancratz has a chance to beat the defender and catch the pass. Not a very hard game.
Pancratz sets it up, and he won't be on the field to try and punch it in. As that short yardage unit moves out, they pitch to John Henry White, who follows the ball into the end zone. You know he's going to go to that right side, but Saskatchewan has been powerless to stop it.
Well, they got everybody over there with the good side. They They got Rick Klassen on the line, Hebler at wingback, and then they move Glenn Leonard around the corner. Donnie Taylor again does a good job on Billy McBride, and there's just enough room for him to run in there. They just can't stop it. Woody Hayes at Ohio State used to say, no matter how many men you put on the line of scrimmage, if you block down from the outside and block out from the first man, you can't stop it.
Point after by Bisaglia. It is good. Well, it's now 41-14. The Lions in front, and we'll be back with... Troy Cicchetti is back for this kickoff, starting out from the 5-yard line. And Cicchetti runs into 3 or 4 orange jerseys in the vicinity of the 25, and that's where the Roughriders will scrimmage. While we have a moment, let's remind you this program is copyright and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited. They might not want to reproduce this one in Saskatchewan.
No, I don't think so.
First and 10. Edwards comes out wide to the left. Fraser to the right. Trying to set up the screen to Dwight Edwards. He finds a hole. And he could go. Touchdown.
There was that speed we talked about. Did you see him come through that hole?
84 yards for the touchdown. He hit that hole and turned on the Jets, and he was gone. Harry Parker had a shot at him, but Dwight Edwards was gone. 84 yards for the major score.
Adams almost trips and stumbles, but he gets it to Edwards. Watch this move right here. He beats the defender. Now watch this straight speed. Now there's no messing around, no moves. He just says, if you can catch me, good, but you're going to have to hustle. Guy had the angle and everything. No chance.
Well, that was 31 seconds after John Henry White and moved the Lions into a 41-14 lead. That Dwight Edwards comes back with the 84-yard touchdown and the point by Dave Ridgway, and it's now 41-21. An 84-yard touchdown by action. Ned Armour returns the kick to the 35-yard line. Well, we were ready to write off the Saskatchewan Roughriders just moments ago. We may have prematurely began their obituary, because Dwight Edwards scampered 84 yards, still 13-18 remaining in this football game, and the Roughriders on occasion.
Well, they do it. That's a tough job.
First and 10 for the Lions. They are at their own 36. Incomplete, intended for Donnie Taylor, and he was buried by J.C. Palusse just as he released the ball.
Well, he made a good move initially and got away from the rush, but he didn't have anyone to throw to, and they just kept coming, and finally Palusse got to him. He's had a pretty good day throwing the football. He was 13 for 16 going into that one.
Joe Paopao, you think he looks a little slimmer this year? He is. He shed some 15 pounds during the offseason, came to camp in tremendous physical condition. He's hoping, Lion fans are also hoping, that he can go through this season without any of the minor nagging injuries that have plagued him in the past. He was looking for John Pancratz, incomplete, and will be 3rd and 10.
Let him just a little bit too much coming in there. He needed to throw it right at him. So the Riders get another shot, 12 minutes left. Another quick one like that last one, and we're going to have a heck of a ball game. We're going to kick for another 15 years.
The fans aren't booing here at BC Stadium Place. They are reacting. Lou, Lou, Lou. Brad McDermott with the return, giving the Riders field position to the 52 of the BC Lions. Well, anything could happen now if the Riders should suddenly strike for a quick touchdown.
Don, we talked all about the stadium, but they have the artificial turf here, but it's as soft as any turf I've ever walked on.
It's called polygrass. It's somewhat different from other synthetic surfaces. It's used a lot in Europe, but it's the first time it's been installed in Canada, or for that matter in North America. It's softer, and the players really seem to like it. Adams is dropped. Rick Clausen got to the Saskatchewan quarterback back at his own 50.
Rick Klassen's had a big day today. He's had a couple of sacks. He's hurried the quarterbacks a few times. This time it's just an individual effort because they only brought 4 men, and he's looking to throw backside. Nobody there, and Classen actually gets blocked and still makes the sack.
Adams was looking deep on that play.
He's looking for Ronnie Robinson, but he was being double covered going down the seam.
Ball back at 51. Second and 17. Wide open is Ron Robinson. He's gone.
Somebody made a mistake.
But there's also a penalty flag in the play. Holding against Saskatchewan will negate the touchdown, and is Joe Barrigelli upset. Saskatchewan Roughriders will wipe out the touchdown. Oh, what a change in proceedings that might have made.
Saskatchewan number 65.
Neil Quilter guilty of holding.
This is just a breakdown by the BC defense. They let a receiver wide open. They went after Adams, and somebody just forgot what they were supposed to do, and away he went. Adams is quick at picking this up. They blitz everybody and their brother. You see Nelson Martin. Adams gets rid of the football, and there's not a person near Robinson as he catches this football. He doesn't have to run at all, just jog down there, but it just doesn't count.
Going deep for Stu Fraser. He's got it. First down, Saskatchewan at the 37 of British Columbia.
That's a great throw. Adams went and dropped back and then rolled to his left, and he threw the ball into an area between the corner and in front of the halfback, and Stu Fraser's there. And again, Rick Classen, he's there to put pressure on him. You'll see the ball come over. Fraser makes a catch and gets dumped. But a big gain after that has to be a very disappointing play just before.
Great catch by Stu Fraser on the sidelines as the University of New Brunswick grad gives Saskatchewan the first down at the BC 37 with 10:26 left in the ball game. Adams trying to flip it out to Greg Figger coming out of that backfield. He was being pressured by Nick Hepler.
Figger catches that football. He has nobody with him either. There have been a couple blown assignments over there somewhere because Figger swung out of there free.
Troy Cicchetti is coming into the ball game now. Dwight Edwards is out for Saskatchewan. It will be second and 10 from the 37. It was intended for Ron Robinson.
Well, he had time to throw it this time. I think he wanted to go to Figger out in the flat. But see, right there, he's covered. He comes back into the middle, and Ty Cruz steps in front, almost picks it off.
And the Rough Riders are keeping the offensive unit out there on 3rd and 10 from the 37. They trail by 20 points. Intercepted, picked off. Bernie Gleer.
That's what happened. He threw that ball into double coverage. He has Bernie Gleer in front of him, and you'll see another orange shirt behind him. I didn't get his number, but Bernie Gleer, he's going to step right in front and make the interception. And there's another orange shirt right behind him, and you just can't do it. Nelson Martin was there with him.
So Bernie Gleer turns the ball over to the British Columbia Lions. As he comes up with the interception. Back at the interception. John Henry White fights his way off tackle for about 2 yards. It will be 2nd and 8. Second and 8, incomplete, intended for Pankratz. He had maneuvered in behind Fran McDermott, but could not hang on to the throw. And Samples really hit Joe Paopao just as he released that ball.
DeWalt did take a heck of a hit, and I think that's what caused the ball to wobble, and Pankratz just couldn't hold it. See 52 Boyd, that means the linebackers are coming again and coming across, and when they've hit twice today, the ball's wobbling and hits him right in the helmet.
Fourth quarter to overcome that 20-point deficit. Ball is taken by Fran McDermott. He's to the 35-yard line. And the Roughriders will scrimmage at that plans at BC Place, sitting in the private boxes. And the fans sitting in comfort here at this magnificent new facility, officially opened on the 19th of June. They've been treated to quite a devastating offensive display. Most of it by the BC Lions in the first half. In the second half, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, under the direction of Joe Adams, have come on. BC Place this afternoon as well, Ron.
Boy, they're having a good time right now. I don't know what's going on, but they're having a heck of a time.
First and 10, Saskatchewan at the 35. That screen to Dwight Edwards. The blocking forms on the right side. And Edwards goes down, but he'll have a first down inside the 25.
It's the same play they scored with, that 84-yarder. This time they stopped them pretty good.
Well, the fans reacting. Crazy George has got the fans up and yelling and cheering here at BC Place. And they have been making a lot of noise for about the last 5 minutes. Joe Adams calls for quiet. And that only produces more noise from the 41,000 plus.
You do get a lot of noise in here. That's for sure.
Look at the fans standing up. A domino effect throughout the stands. Crazy George really has them working today. For Chris LaFrasse, he makes the catch inside the 10.
Great catch.
I'll tell you what, with 7:28 remaining in this ball game, and there is another penalty flag, it looks like holding again against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I was going to say, though, Ron, if the Riders should score a touchdown, that could silence this crowd in a hurry.
That'll shut them up. That's what you have to do when you're on the road. That's one of the disadvantages of playing in another team's park, and inside this dome, the noise is deafening.
Well, of course, the Grey Cup game is going to be played here this year, and that should be a lot of fun under ideal weather conditions. Holding the call against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the fans are still standing up one section at a time. As Crazy George has been working all the way around the stadium. End zone incomplete, intended for Robinson, knocked away by Kerry Parker.
It was knocked away by Parker, but I'll tell you what, Adams rolled to his left and threw that off balance on a line about 40 yards. He really let it go. He gets there just in time to knock it down.
Well, the fans at the stadium are still having an awful lot of fun. All the sections, one after the other, as you see, standing up. Ball fumbled by Adams. He manages to get it back. The play is still alive. The pass is complete. It's short of the first down to France at the 15-yard line. What a strange play that one was. as Adams fumbled the snap, still managed to scoop up the ball and hit Christopher France.
He did. He just dropped it. You'll see it roll around. He does a crazy thing. He reaches down there and gets it and drops it again and now escapes. And Christopher France has got his arms up down there and he throws him a strike. He throws a strike on his knees. The one thing it does, it gives them the opportunity to go for only 2 yards instead of about 30. They need this first down.
3rd and 2 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders with 6:24 left in the ball game. First down as Stu Fraser takes it out of bounds at the 8-yard line. He sacrificed the body but saved the electronic gear. Into the end zone for Dwight Edwards. Incomplete, penalty flag on the play. Being covered by Ken Hinton. And the pass interference in the end zone should mean a 1st and goal situation if that was the call from the 1.
Forward pass interference, BC, number 18. First down.
Well, Edwards was running out of room in that end zone, and because of the dimensions of BC Place, the end zones are only 20 yards deep rather than the normal 25.
Well, let's see if Kenny Hinton, calling for face guarding, not playing the football, but he was running out of room.
1st and goal from the 1. Adams is going to keep. No signal yet from the official. Well, one does signal. Yes, it is a touchdown. Point after by Ridgway. It is good. Rather than the regular turf cleats. Satin Green on the kickoff return. Green reverses his field, still trying to get away from Rough Rider tacklers, but is finally brought down at the 29 by Laurie Stallroot. Level outside, it is nearing 30 degrees. A warm day here in the West Coast. Herman Fernandez struggling to get beyond that first down marker, and I think he did. And it must be a little warm up there for Gene and that camera. Pancratz at the 45-yard line, stopped by Frank Rupp. Rough Riders desperately need the football as they trail by 13. On 2nd and 2, Pow keeps. He should have the first down. Dates for the Carling O'Keefe Offensive Game Star Award. Candidates on both sides, and we'll have both the offensive and defensive stars at the conclusion of the game. Intended for Armour, knocked away by Steve Dennis.
Excellent job of pass coverage. He wasn't open. Just going to try to beat him on a streak.
2nd and 10, penalty flag, moving at the line of scrimmage. The pass complete to Fernandez. He breaks a couple of tackles and then is finally hauled down, but not before he got to the 40-yard line. It appeared as though Carl Morgan had moved at the line of scrimmage. He was still over on the sidelines when time had started. Gets the play off with 5 seconds still to go on the 22nd clock. The pass was intended for Green. On that previous play, Morgan was offside, but the Lions had declined the penalty because Fernandez had picked up. 41-28, the Lions lead. Halftime, they were in front 31-4. Burnett Armour incomplete. McBride and the ball arrived at by Luke Visaglia. It's wide, taken on the run by Dwight Edwards, and he is down at the 10-yard line. 30 years ago, when Empire Stadium was open, it was considered the finest football facility in Canada. Now, the Lions, once again, have the finest facility in Canada. Ron Robinson, one-handed catch. First down, Saskatchewan at the 31.
Just dropped it in over the zone. Robinson reached up one-handed.
Adams is 11 for 19 for 246 yards. It's coming in. The pass is picked up. Harry Parker turns it over. The ball deflected, and Parker alertly scooped it out of the air and carried down to the 27.
Well, the ball's
The clock. They stay on the ground with John Henry Wyatt. He just keeps on pumping those legs. It will be very close to a first down. Second and less than a yard for the Lions inside the 20-yard line. Pavlov keeps. He has the first down with now 1:41 remaining in this football. Pass incomplete, intended for Pancratz. For the Roughriders, some satisfaction in that they were able to come back in the second half and put in 10. All at the 17, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Foul was caught. Vince Goldsmith wrote him down at the line twice in the West this year. Field goal from 26 yards out. It's through the uprights. Exactly is the time remaining in this football game, the first telecast and the first regular season CFL game to be played at this magnificent facility. Any fans who make the trek out here for the Grey Cup, you will be assured that they will have excellent sight lines regardless of where they're sitting. Dwight Edwards on the sidelines, out of bounds, tried to get back into the field to play, but it was whistled down. It will be a first down. They mark it, I believe, at the 48-yard line. Because he went out of bounds, the clock does not start until the ball is snapped. Sideline pattern intended for Fraser, incomplete. He was being covered by Terry Parker, and Nick threatened all the rookies. Said he was going to sacrifice them one at a time. Did get the pass away. Brent Brissett helped set up that play for Nick Hembler.
Well, he had a lot of time to throw the football. Found nobody open. Now he tries to escape. But you can't block those guys forever. Not one.
Telecast. Nick Hembler indicates that he wants to be the best defensive. And I think it's safe to assume that Joe Pau will simply drop to one knee. He'll only be able to use up about 1 or 2 seconds on this first play because the clock does not start until the Pau takes a look at the clock, sees the time has run out, drops to one knee. And that's the ball game. Don Matthews with his first official victory as head coach of the British Columbia Lions, 44-28 over the Saskatchewan Roughriders, as the Lions even their record at the win and the loss. The Saskatchewan Roughriders now with 1 win and 2 losses, and we'll return to BC Place and our game stars after this. A short kickoff to open the game that Mervyn Fernandez grabbed, and then 3 plays later, he took the touchdown pass into the end zone. That seemed to shake up the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They were never able to recover in the first half. The Lions went to the dressing room with a 31-4 lead. Saskatchewan, under the direction of Joe Adams, managed to come back in the second half, but by that time the game was pretty much out of reach. Roy DeWalt started, did an excellent job in the first 30 minutes. Joe Pau in the second half also directed a fairly effective BC offense, but by that time things had changed. The ball game pretty much out of doubt as far as the outcome was concerned.
Well, it was almost like 2 different game plans, first half to second half. DeWalt used the sprint out action, throwing the ball that way. Pau sprinted out very little. He just took a drop back in the pocket and threw the football. And I know this, you need to have both those guys playing, because before this season's over, they're going to both have to do a lot of work, DeWalt and Pau.
Well, there were a number of outstanding offensive game star candidates, but our Carling O'Keefe offensive and defensive game star selections, both wearing the uniform of the British Columbia Lions, which really doesn't come as any surprise. Rick Claassen had an outstanding game from his defensive end spot. He seemed to be in that Saskatchewan backfield all afternoon. And offensively, a number of people, but we went with John Pancratz.
Well, I really believe that Rick Klassen, in the early part of the game, when the game was in doubt and BC was building their lead, I really think that that's when Rick Klassen was at his best. And the other guy, Pancratz, he made the big catches. He scored 1 touchdown in the first half. As you see right here, he catches a cross pattern and just outruns Andre Jones into the end zone. But he's made a couple other catches, one to set up a touchdown for Sammy Green and another one in the second half to set up a touchdown by John Henry White. He caught a lot of passes today. I think that all through the football game, he was getting open, and if they could get him the football, he caught it.
Well, it didn't matter whether it was Roy DeWalt throwing or Joe Pow throwing. John Pancratz was able to catch that football for about 120 yards. I think he had something like 9 catches this afternoon. And on the other side of the ball, Rick Klassen seemed to be pressuring the Saskatchewan quarterback, whether it was Hufnagel or Joe Adams.
Well, what I thought with Klassen was mostly at the beginning of the game. Like right toward the end, Nick Kebler was there, and he was doing a lot then, and Rick Klassen was kind of shoved at the secondary. He was getting there late. But in the early going, when it was in doubt, Klassen made a couple big sacks to get things going. And I really believe that football games are decided when it's tough.
Well, the final score this afternoon, the British Columbia Lions successfully opening at home, 44-28 over Saskatchewan. You had to be pleased.
Thank you very much. I'm having a tough time hearing you down here.
Yes, I understand.
Really
we have a tough time up here hearing each other because of the noise. Let me ask you both gentlemen, was it warm down there at field level today?
Sorry, I can't hear you, Ron. I can't hear you, Don.
Well, I guess we're having problems with the music blaring in the background. Thank you very much, gentlemen, because of the difficulties that we are having. We congratulate you once again, John Pancratz and Rick Klassen, on being chosen our Carling O'Keefe Sports offensive and defensive game stars. You talk about the noise in this place. We had a lot of it this afternoon, particularly when Crazy George had section after section standing up and applauding.
Well, I think that's great. You know, it's like a carnival atmosphere in here when he had them going. I mean, he must have gone around the stadium 5 or 6 times, and each section as he just went by, it was like a domino effect. And there was a lot of noise. In fact, Joe Adams finally did call time once to get him quiet, but it didn't do any good.
Well, of course, we talked about the Grey Cup game and the fact that it will be played here in November, and it's going to be a noisy place. There'll be a lot of fun. It will be a carnival-like atmosphere for that game.
I think anybody traveling to BC in the next 4 or 5 months, if you have the opportunity to come in here and watch a football game or just go through it, it's very, very worthwhile. It's a very unique place. It's something that I've never had the opportunity to do before, and I've really enjoyed our chance to go through here today.
Well, it sits down at the end of Robson Street, and it is a magnificent structure built for $126 million, coming in on budget. The BC Lions are going to enjoy playing in this facility, but even more importantly, the fans are going to enjoy coming here.
Well, I think that's the key thing. There's not, as we said earlier, there's not a bad seat in the house. You're right on top of the action, and it's just a great place to watch a game.
Well, the final score this afternoon, once again, the British Columbia Lions 44 and the Saskatchewan Roughriders 28, a successful home debut for the BC Lions. Football on CBC is Bob Moyer. Today's game was produced by Hugh Carruthers. Our director, Ron Harrison. And in charge of our isolated cameras, Grant Haywood.